Yeah. The Champions League draw earlier on. I know we're a Premier League show, but why not chat about it? 6 of the last 16 made up by English clubs as well. There's some brilliant ties in prospect. What have you got your eye on?
Yeah, some great games. We're saying with Sid, obviously the Real Madrid-Man City game again.
It's a given.
Every year we have them. We
Yeah.
have them in the league phase too. I think the PSG-Chelsea, of course, the two world champions for 2 different competitions, but still, and you see the whole bracket now, so you know if you win your last 16, who you would play in the quarterfinals, semi-final, etc. There's clearly one side of the draw, the one on the right-hand side, much easier than on the left. Only one Champions League previous winner on the right, 6 out of 8 on the left, for example. So it's very, very different. But I think there's some really cracking games there. And then the Bodo Glimt Sporting, one of the 2 fairy tale stories of the competition so far. At least one of them will be in the quarterfinals, which I think is great and refreshing for the competition.
Yeah, I mean, Sid's on Real Madrid, Man City. Do you ever tire of that fixture as a neutral?
Brilliant, isn't it? I mean, you've got the best players in the world going toe-to-toe into, so especially at the Bernabeu, what a stadium that is.
Yeah.
Real Madrid have sort of had the upper hand, haven't they, of recent seasons, but never put anything past Pep.
Yeah, of course.
Second leg at the Etihad as well.
I know, second leg at the Etihad. We've got to bring your team up. Paris Saint-Germain against Chelsea.
Yeah.
Looking for revenge?
Yeah,
that World Cup final.
Yeah, that Club World Cup final was a massive performance from Maresca and his players. Really, they played it perfectly. They scored early. Remember, they invited the pressure and then hit on the counter. It was very good. There was a bit of argy-bargy at the end as well, which is always bring a bit of feistiness in this game too. 10 years since we had the last PSG Chelsea in the Champions League. We used to have them a lot, a bit like the Real Madrid City before, but 10 years now, so it's good. And at least I don't have to go too far for the second leg. It's near home, it's good. I'm looking forward to it. It should be good. It should be 2 teams who have issues, by the way, so far this season.
I know Arsenal fans very, very happy about being on that side of the draw. Yeah. But potential that they could face, I mean, if they make it through past Bayer Leverkusen, obviously that's not a given, potentially they could face Bodo Glimt. Yep. What have you made of them in the Champions League? I mean, can you see them going as far as they can?
Oh, I mean, I can see them causing an upset. Look to Man City. They've been one of the surprise packages of this competition. But a lot of people were saying, I was playing golf today, and people were saying, "Oh, Arsenal, what a lucky side of the draw." They deserve to do that. They finished top of the pile. They deserve that sort of run, and the quadruple's on for Arsenal fans.
It is every week.
Before the end of the show.
Very, very quickly, Newcastle drawing against Barcelona.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll fancy themselves in that?
Yeah, I think there's something, the highline defensively from Barcelona. They played each other in September at St James's Park, where Rashford scored 2 and Barca won 2-1. But the expected goals was higher for Newcastle. They had more shots on target. They played them really, really well, I thought. Yeah. Over 2 legs, Barca has to be fairy, but yeah, there's something there for Newcastle, I think.
Okay. Well, that is all we have time for tonight.
Over clubs they got given.
Right, OK, so Galatasaray against Liverpool, Real Madrid, Manchester City in there as well. And Arsenal have just come out, Dave?
Yeah, well, they're just about to be drawn now. So Arsenal are going to be playing Bayer Leverkusen in the last 16. They lost 7-2 at home to PSG, but did beat Manchester City in the league phase. So Arsenal will play Leverkusen, and that means the second leg will be at the Emirates. So Arsenal will play Leverkusen in the last 16. And it also means now that Arsenal will play either Bodo Glimt or Sporting Lisbon in the quarterfinals. For a place in the semi-final, they will need to overcome Leverkusen or Bodo Glimt and Sporting Lisbon.
But also on that, we could talk about, but also this side of the draw, there's Tottenham, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Newcastle. Arsenal, I know they are the favourites, but they are the standout club this side of the draw. So we talk about going to the semi-final. They have got a massive chance of getting to Budapest.
Yeah.
They really have.
Do you want to recap the last 16, Dave?
Yeah, so let's just recap it top to bottom then. So Paris Saint-Germain will face Chelsea. Galatasaray will face Liverpool. Real Madrid take on Manchester City again. It's Atalanta against Bayern Munich. Newcastle face Barcelona, as they did in the league phase. Atletico Madrid take on Igor Tudor's Tottenham Hotspur. Bodo Glimt face Sporting Lisbon. And Leverkusen face Arsenal. And if you're looking further ahead than that...
let's go through it.
So there's a possibility that Newcastle and Spurs then might face each other in a quarter-final of the Champions League. If Spurs overcome Atletico, Newcastle beat Barcelona over 2 legs. We mentioned Arsenal's route to the semi-final before. And then Manchester City, if they manage to overcome Real Madrid over 2 legs, will face either Bayern Munich or Atalanta. And Chelsea, if they get through against Paris Saint-Germain, could well face Liverpool in a potential Champions League quarter-final.
That completes the draw for the Champions League last 16. There you can see the route to the final there. Now the last 16 draw has been done. So you've got Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain, Liverpool got Galatasaray, Manchester City, Real Madrid, the first tie that came out there as well. Newcastle have got Barcelona. It could have been Chelsea, but instead it's Barcelona. Tottenham against Atletico Madrid. And for Arsenal, it is Bayer Leverkusen. So would you say there, with that route to the final that Dave just said, Charlie, would you say that Arsenal are probably the real winners out of this? On paper, I know.
On paper, yeah, you have to look at it and go, they've got the best side of the draw and that kind of segment of it. That just builds more pressure on and expectations. And what is the bigger thing for Arsenal? I know we're talking Champions League here, but what is the biggest thing, the ultimate thing? For me, it's winning the Premier League. But now this adds even more spice to it because your expectation is now on Arsenal is to get to the very last stage of the Champions League.
Just looking at the draw here, is there anyone who you'll feel particularly hard done by? I know it's a draw, but I can't help but think that Manchester City, having had the choice of, not the choice, but either Real Madrid or Bodo Glimt, and they've ended up with Real Madrid. That's the biggest discrepancy, isn't there?
It's the bottom four clubs on that kind of second segment. So Real Madrid, Man City, Atalanta, Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Like that's the tough bit. You wouldn't really want to be a part of that. So you are going to say Man City have got one of the toughest bits. And Real Madrid are going to be saying the same, and so are Bayern Munich. So for me, that is the toughest part of it.
And Dave, am I right in thinking that Arsenal and Man City are now on opposite side of the draw?
Yes, that's correct. So the earliest they can meet is the final in Budapest. So the top two in the Premier League going for it in the Carabao Cup final, the Premier League. But there's a long way to go before we get to, I think it's the 30th of May in Budapest for that final.
So in terms of an all-English quarter-final, there is actually a chance of two, isn't there?
Yes.
Like you said there, Newcastle could face Tottenham and Chelsea could face Liverpool.
Correct, yeah.
That's right, OK. Yeah, that Real Madrid-Manchester City game really stands out there. So, Charlie, having seen that now, who did you say was... You said an English club would win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Did you say which at the start of the show?
No, I said I expected the expectation of an English club going to win the Champions League. But now, for me, looking at how they are spread out, and the standout route is Arsenal to get into that fight. It feels like we're going to have one in the final.
The other thing to say is, Liverpool have obviously not had the best of seasons in the Premier League. And I know they didn't do very well against Galatasaray in the league phase, but if they can get through that tie, anything can happen against Chelsea. Paris Saint-Germain haven't hit their stride as they did last year. There's a chance that this season for Liverpool could be a special one.
It's going to be an interest. It is going to be interesting. That is the thing with Liverpool. This could be special. You don't know what Paris Saint-Germain are not anywhere near what they was last year. The heights of what they was phenomenal. They generally aren't. Play Liverpool. Liverpool could be one of them teams that have a late runner that nobody expects. They're tough in the Champions League stage. In Europe, they are brilliant. But Arsenal, for me, is just, if they go on and win it, it's one thing, but that's the standout route. They're the winners of that draw.
Is it a failure for Arsenal if they don't make the final?
Looking at that draw, on that side of it, I would say yes. I would say, and people say, I'll put more pressure on Arsenal, more pressure on Arsenal. Just, if you've got that squad and that team and the direction of the football club you're wanting to go in, I'm saying yes, it is.